All right, let's look at the homework 3.4, problem number 9. All right, so we want to find two positive numbers whose product is 108. And the sum of the first plus 3 times the second is the smallest possible. All right, so let's do that. All right, so you have two numbers. Maybe I'll just use x and y. So x is the first number, and y is the first number, and we want that to be we want them to be positive, right? And the product is 108. So we know that it's given that x times y has to be equal to 108, right? Then what we want to do is we want to minimize. So it's a minimization problem. So you have a minimize, right? So this quantity. So sum of the first, which would be x and plus 3 times the second. So it's a 3 times y, right? So in this case, let's say I don't want to deal with two variables. I'm going to get rid of maybe y, right? So I'm going to solve this equation here for y. So I'm going to divide through by x. We have y is equal to 108 over x, right? Then we can plug this guy right here in this expression, so since there's a y there, right? So I can rewrite this guy as you have a x there plus let's see, you have to multiply 108 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24, and 3 times 1 is 3, so 324, and then divide by x, right? And remember that the x has to be positive, so we're looking for x is positive. So let's do that. X is a positive number. All right, so I'm going to call this function f, since it's just a function of x here. All right, so we want to minimize x plus 324 over x over the interval, which is the positive real numbers. All right, so let's do that. All right, let's find a critical number. Take the derivative. So f prime of x is equal to, right, x is going to be equal to 1, right? And then, actually, I don't like the way this is written, so I'm going to rewrite this function as, let's see, so I'm going to do it here, right? F of x can be rewritten as, right, first term is okay, x is x, right? But the second term, I'm going to rewrite it as 324. So that's just a number in front. And then, but 1 over x, I'm going to write it as x to the negative 1. Right? So the derivative of the second term would be, let's see, 324. So that's just a constant multiple. So I'm going to just put the 324 there. Right? Then power rule, put the negative sign in front, so put the negative sign, and you have x to the, subtract 1 from the power, so it's going to be negative 2, right? So this is going to give us 1 minus, right? So I took care of 1 here and the negative sign here, and I'm going to write the second term in a fractional form. So you have fraction form. So 324 lives upstairs, so you have 324 there. And then over, right, so because of the negative power here, x is going to sit on the bottom. So we have x here, right? Then we still have to square that, so we have to put 2 there, right? So this is the derivative. Right. The next step is I'm going to combine these two terms by finding the common denominator. So in this case, common denominator will be x squared, which is probably the easiest to find. So since I want to have, maybe I'll use a different color. So since I want to have x squared, on the bottom. So I'm going to just put it in, right? So I put something in my on my wish list and put it here, right? But that way we change the function. So I'm going to have to do exactly the same on top so that it's basically multiplied by 1, which does not change anything, right? That way we have a common denominator. So common denominator is x squared. So put those two denominators together and just write it once. So you have x squared, right? Then the first term is 1 times x squared, which is a long way of saying x squared, right? So you have x squared, right? Then we have a negative sign, so minus 324. So I'm just going to do minus 324, right? So we got that. All right, then to find the critical number, we set that equal to 0. In order to make the fraction equal to 0, we need to set the numerator equals to 0. So we have, so let's see, so we know that x squared must be equal to 324. That will make the numerator equal to 0, right? So you have a 324. All right, then we just have to take the square root of both sides. So take the square root. So x is going to be equal to plus or minus square root of 324 is 18, right? So we have 18. All right. Then since we're only looking at the positive values, so obviously we're going to pick the positive 18. Right? So let's make sure that this will give us the minimum. So I'm going to do a number line here. So I'm going to do a number line. So we have that. And then we're just talking about positive values. So I'll just put 0 here. Right? Then only positive critical number is 18. So I'm going to put 18. Tick marks for 18 there, right? Then we're going to look at the sign of f prime. So f prime, right? So any number between 0 and 18, I like 1, so I'll try that. And any number between 18, bigger than 18, 20 maybe, right? So we're going to try that. All right, then if you plug into the derivative, so easiest one is probably, let's look at this one right here, right? So this one right here, right? So we just want to know the sign. We don't need the actual value, right? So good thing is denominator has a squared, so it's always non-negative, so it's actually positive here. Right, so we don't have to worry about the denominator. We just have to worry about the numerator. Right, when x equals 1, 1 minus 324 is definitely negative. Right, so we're done. And when x is 20, 20 squared is 400 minus 324 is positive, so it's going to be positive here. Right, so we know that according to the first derivative here, our original function is going to be decreasing before 18 and then increasing after 18, right? So that guarantees that we're going to have a minimum value at x equal 18, right? So we found the x value, so x value to be 18, right? And how do you find a y value? So y value can be found, there's actually a recipe to cook up a y value from x value up here. So we're going to use that formula there. Y is equal to 108 divided by 18. Right? So what's this? It's hopefully a good number. 108 divided by 18. 18. Right? All right, so that's what's this? Is it 6? 6 times 8 is 48, and 6 times 1 is 10. So yep, so this is actually 6. All right, so x is 18 and y is 6. Let's type it in. All right, so first number 18, and the second number is 6. All right, let's check the answer. All right, I came back and looks like we got this one correctly. All right, that's it. I hope that this was clear.